I don't want to be treated like a slave. I want to be treated as a human being, and what's right is right.
Messy side, loud and clear. This is where people learned how cold the music business can be. Even with folks you call fan. 1997 and 14-year-old Dwayne Michael.
This new situation here at Motown.
I left Atlanta because I wanted to experience.
Carter Jr. signs with Cash Money Records, looking at Birdman like a father figure and seeing a path to greatness right in front of him. For years, everything looked smooth as ice, and Wayne rose into a hip-hop giant, dropping classics that fueled the label with hit after hit and global respect. But behind closed doors, that bond was cracking slow and quiet until it finally snapped in public view in 2014 when Wayne hit Twitter with shocking posts about his album, The Carter 5. So, what pushed Wayne to that breaking point where he aired it out for the world to see? According to legal papers from his $51 million lawsuit, the problems were deep in the paperwork and the payments, not just emotions or egos. Wayne said Cash Money owed him $8 million up front just to start the Carter fee, plus Loader $2 million to finish, but he only received $2 million at the beginning and the rest never landed like promised. Then the Young Money side made everything even messier because the structure behind the scenes wasn't matching what was on paper. Back in February 2003, Cash Money agreed to launch Young Money as a joint venture, Wayne with 49%, Cash Money with 51%, which sounds fair on the surface. But Wayne claimed they didn't split copyrights properly and filed everything under Cash Money, boxing him out of what should have been his share. Here's where it gets wild. Drake. Young Money signed Drake in 2009, and Wayne was supposed to earn a third of the profits Drake generated, which is major considering how huge Drake became. But the lawsuit said Cash Money never provided full financial reports on Drake's releases, leaving Wayne unable to truly track what he was owed from one of the biggest artists alive. When the Carter fee finally dropped, it moved around 480 equivalent units, proving Wayne wasn't crazy for fighting for his freedom and his numbers. And after all that, he started warning newer artists about that so-called curse tied to certain contracts and labels, pointing to how many early Cash Money artists ended up struggling financially or fading out completely after the shine wore off. Wayne's whole battle turned into a blueprint for the next generation. A clear lesson that even if you're a superstar with hits, if your contract is off, your money and control can still get jammed up, and your label can slow your entire career with a few clauses and delays. The truth is simple but heavy. What looks like a family can start feeling like a boardroom when the numbers don't match the promises. And Wayne's case laid it all out for everyone watching, making artists read their deals twice and ask better questions before signing anything. And as Wayne's fight echoed through the industry, another storm was building with a rising star who faced a different kind of pressure and a very modern label trap. A case that showed how even in the streaming era, contracts can freeze your movement and turn your momentum into leverage against you. From one rough contract to another, Megan Thee Stallion's story proved that even with viral momentum and hit records, a deal can hold you back if it's built to drain instead of develop. And that shock hit people hard when they saw the numbers next to her streams. Megan signed with 1501 Certified Entertainment in 2018 at 20 years old, right as her freestyles and social buzz turned into real heat. And on the surface, the deal looked like a win, especially with 1501's distribution ties to 300 Entertainment pushing her music wider. But as Megan blew up, she learned what kind of contract she was truly in. A classic 360 setup where the label gets a slice from almost everything from music to touring to merch. And when the breakdown started surfacing, fans were stunned by the gap between the revenue and the payouts she reportedly received, even after pulling in more than $7 million from streaming. Reports said Megan only saw around $15,000, and that number became the symbol of everything wrong with the deal in the public's eyes. Especially since Megan writes her own lyrics and should have been getting full writer royalties, too. The money wasn't the only battlefield, either. Release control became a weapon when the label allegedly blocked her from dropping new music whenever they wanted leverage, turning her career calendar into a negotiation tool and forcing her to go to court just to put out work the world was begging to hear. When Roc Nation stepped in for management in 2019 to help restructure and protect her interests, 15,001 pushed back and the gridlock got worse, leading to temporary court orders so she could release Suga and even clear high-profile collaborations, like her link-up with BTS, which showed everybody how far this 2go4 had gone. Then it got even pettier in the fine print, when the label argued that Something for the Hotties and Traumazine didn't count as albums, and tried to call them mixtapes, which would stretch the contract longer. And that kind of wordplay made the public see how technicalities can trap artists for years. Through all the pressure, Megan kept working, kept dropping, and kept proving her demand couldn't be blocked indefinitely. However, when the contract isn't designed to be fair, the stress, the constant disputes, and the legal costs demonstrated how detrimental these agreements can be to an artist's mental and creative energy. She eventually won her release, but it came at the expense of years of legal drama and career setbacks that no musician should have to endure in order to produce the music that people like. Additionally, it demonstrated that a label can determine which of your projects count, while still consuming from all of them, which made the subsequent situation even more difficult. If Megan's predicament surprised you, NBA YoungBoy Saga was a masterclass in how contract language can prolong a deal indefinitely, as a label continues to pay from every drop you make. At the age of 17, YoungBoy inked a 5-album deal with Atlantic in late 2017 in exchange for a $2 million advance. At that age, it sounds revolutionary. But once the releases began to pile up, the fine print became the actual story. By 2022, YoungBoy had released over 18 projects and brought in enormous sums of money for the company. However, he was still bound by the same contract since Atlantic only recognized 3 of those releases as official albums, rejecting others due to technicalities, like live tracks or altered cover art. This allowed them to determine what qualified while still reaping the benefits of the buzz and streams. They also had control over important rights, masters, publication, and portions of everything, including merchandise, music, and touring. Additionally, the partnership had reached a breaking point over both creative control and marketing energy. When YoungBoy claimed in early 2022 that Atlantic was impeding his progress, he said that, after his project's debut at number 2, they even prevented its colors from appearing in several chart positions. Additionally, he cautioned, artists don't sign to Atlantic. In a deleted post, it won't go support you if you're an artist, especially if you lead a particular lifestyle. People saw him discussing image headlines and how support may change based on how you're depicted. The desire for his songs never decreased, despite all the chaos. Additionally, he offered to submit 4 albums in order to obtain ownership of his recordings in 2020. Fans learned a lot about how powerful leverage can be when a label refuses to let go. When Atlantic declined, he declined a $25 million offer. When renewal time arrived in 2022, because he believed the label didn't act honorably, and that decision made the whole issue seem more important than money. Emphasizing values, decency, and the long-term worth of his catalog and self. The lesson was particularly impactful for artists who were observing from the outside. In your documentation, be aware of what constitutes an album, understand who makes the final decision, and ensure that, while everything appears to be going well on the outside, your most successful endeavors also help you get closer to freedom. If you thought Atlantic's reputation for being tough ended there, another example from the same building demonstrated how pressure can take many other forms, such as 360-degree demands, or song selections with marketing power at stake if you didn't play ball the way the label desired. The tale of Lupe Fiasco and Atlantic involved a different kind of conflict, not about his ability to create singles, but rather about who was in charge of his music's direction, and who would profit from every aspect of his career if he signed the wrong kind of contract. With Jay-Z's assistance, Lupe signed with Atlantic in 2005, and the early victories were spotless. His 2006 Grammy nominations for Food and Liquor and his 2007 Gold album, Be Cool, demonstrated his ability to simultaneously influence culture and the charts. However, the tension quickly increased following the chill. Lupe recalled being informed in 2008 that I cannot guarantee we will promote your records. If you are not a 360 artist on the label, he said that Atlantic's management encouraged him to sign a 360 deal, give up a cut of everything, or get less push seemed like a hard line, but fans weren't having it. They organized rallies outside Atlantic's headquarters and started a petition with over 30,000 signatures to put pressure on the company to distribute Lupe's songs as he had envisioned. And that demonstrated how powerful, when it came to defending his art, his fan following was. When Lasers eventually came out, Lupe said that Atlantic pushed away songs he wanted to emphasize in favor of pop-heavy additions like The Show Goes On and Out of My Head in order to make the album more commercial. Even if those records were successful, he didn't feel like he had won because the artistic direction wasn't really his. According to reports, Battlescar's 2012 release was blocked by Atlantic's head of Urban, Mike Kaiser, who claimed it wasn't a good look. Lupe felt trapped in the building he helped elevate because the label continued to throw out small curveballs. motivated more by fear and money than by artistic development. This is the twist that most people overlook. Lupe offered Bruno Mars the idea for Just the Way You Are, demonstrating that he could create hits at the greatest level whenever he wanted to. So it wasn't like he couldn't break chart records when he wanted to. He decided to. Ownership and shares were the main issues, since the label insisted on agreements that greatly benefited them. Additionally, Lupe claimed in a 2014 interview that because he rejected the 360-degree arrangement, he felt like a third-class citizen at Atlantic. Additionally, he completed his commitment by delivering Lasers in 2011, Food and Spirits in 2012, and Tetsuo and Youth in 2015. While psychologically checking out about 2009, Lupe's journey demonstrated how standing up for what you believe in can lose you popularity in the short term, but in the long run, it safeguards your creativity and spirit. And his stance made many musicians reconsider giving up their freedom for a potentially fleeting marketing pledge. Another case from the late 1990s and early 2000s shown how publishing may be tightly controlled for decades, preventing artists from owning their work just when many thought they had seen every type of label pressure.